So back to the defense contracting community. This document that I'm giving you a quick illustration of, really almost the table of contents, is a document that was published almost 6 years ago in what I'll call kind of a raw form, but republished literally within the past 45 days. And this is the DCMA's Guidebook to Government Property. And it identifies the 22 PMSA, Property Management System Analysis, elements that need to be considered in order to be able to support your DCMA audits. Now, in the bottom left corner of this slide, there is a link that takes you directly through. So when you get the slide deck after, you can click the link, you can see the guidebook, or of course, you could take the time to use a search engine to go find it on the internet. But this guidebook is readily available off of DCMA's website, and it covers everything from the ensuring that you're having written procedures all the way through to how to handle your property closeouts. They define what each of these elements mean. It goes into some of the test elements that they're going to be focused on when your organization is being assessed against this PMSA. But I've highlighted a few of these elements here to specifically call your attention to that, as you can see in the highlighted bottom right corner, indicates where a government property management system is going to be indispensable to you, because it has to do with the way that you receipt in items, identify, record, perform inventories, and on and on. Let's break it down a little bit. Let's go to number 6 here, in which it talks about the identification aspect of it. When you're IDing government property, you're marking it, right? You're marking it maybe with a human readable or a barcode, perhaps it's an IUID if the clause is being called out. But to be able to mark it and record that in a business system and be able to know that that record specifically relates with that unique marking on it and get it reported through to government systems takes coordination. Number 7 talks about record keeping. You can see the litany of data elements that are to be captured, from part numbers to NSNs. You've got descriptions, locations, unit of measures, all these elements that are called out in the FAR 52-245-1 in terms of every record for every asset that you need to be reporting through to the government. Then you've got, on top of it, let's go to physical inventory. So physical inventory is really where the rubber meets the road when it comes to the needs of the Department of Defense and the defense contractor saying, yes, not only can I show you that I have the record and it's complete, but also I can show you physically where it is in my location and the records and the physical items match up, including location, right? And physical inventories are defined in a way where you've got a few different ways in which you can approach your physical inventory, from cycle counting to statistical sampling to wall. You're going to need to read through that, make sure you have a clear method, but understanding that if your inventory of your items meets a certain threshold within the Department of Defense, you are automatically going to get an annual audit against this. And that also, on top of it, if it doesn't meet that particular threshold, you need to consider in what increments, what periods in which you're going to get audited against, and how you're going to prepare to ensure that if they do come in and audit, that you're ready, that you've got your inventories up to date. I'll also mention that we get a lot of conversations going, and about this time last year, I guess it was probably more like last August, Sharrieff, we were down at NPMA, the National Property Managers Association, their annual conference. Great organization, by the way. A2B's been a member for over 10 years. Really great way to bring the community together as property managers and auditors, talking about issues and making sure that they're, everything is being addressed and considered as to how to handle, all these rules and how to, and things that are going to be coming in the future. So in talking to people following those sessions, they would come up to me and say, Pete, you know, we have this DCMA audit, yes, but, you know, are you getting other of your customers contacting you saying, our PMs are contacting us? And when they contact us, this isn't a DCMA audit. This is a program coming in saying they want 100% of our records to know what we have, because they've got the auditors, you know, sort of quote unquote pounding on their chest saying, we need you to keep your records up to date, even if it's in the defense contractor hands in custody. So it might not just be DCMA contacting you. It could in fact be your programs, and they're not just looking for a sampling. Your programs want, you know, 100% accurate record keeping. And then that takes us down to a number of others, you know, reporting as it relates to your audits, managing discrepancies, managing your physical inventories, and being able to generate those reports on demand with a click of a mouse. Lastly, I'll just mention, you know, declaration of excess property. You know, that one's always a tricky one because, you know, a lot of these PCARS transactions can be fairly complex if that's where you're reporting through your excess. And so, you know, you've got to consider the timeliness of your reporting, the completeness of your reporting. But this guidebook is really helpful. All 112 pages of it is really helpful in really identifying all of these areas that you're going to be, you know, held to at this point.